All right, everybody, you're welcome to this session. And today we will be focusing on the law of persistence. The law of persistence. Persistence is one of the most powerful soft skills, or sometimes some people call it the essential skill of life, the essential skill of living, the essential skill of manifestation. Persistence becomes more critical for people who are disadvantaged already. You cannot be in a disadvantaged situation and expect to rise to the top without persistence. That is why persistence, I once wrote something and I said that across the African continent, a continent where majority of the population is still between the middle class and the lower class or the poor class, for many people to rise and enter the middle class or the upper middle class or even the upper class, persistence will remain critical, because it is totally impossible, except God does a very incredible miracle. It is totally impossible for a poor young person, for a young person from a poor family to automatically rise to prominence in less than 1 year, in less than 2 months, in overnight. It is impossible. It's totally impossible, except there is something special that happens. But for many young people who have been able to live from mediocre backgrounds, some struggling backgrounds, some average backgrounds, some humbling backgrounds, to rise to a state of prominence and influence and success and manifest some certain results, check, one thing stood out for them. A part of many things that they did, persistence was a core essential skill. Because in their journey, things will not be right. Money will not be there. The support will not be there. Everything, sometimes there will be moments it feels like everything around you is fighting you. It will feel like heaven is fighting you, earth is fighting you, all your friends are fighting you. Everybody doesn't care what you're going through. And at that particular moment, at that particular time, it is only you and your persistence that may keep you going. Any young person who has mastered how persistence works can always rise from the most difficult situations in life. I can categorically tell you that persistence is an essential skill of living for any young person to thrive, especially if you are already disadvantaged. And when I say you're already disadvantaged, it means that, number one, you are from a struggling family, or what they call humble beginning. Number two, if you were not able to go to school like every average kid because you could not afford to go to school like everybody else. Number three, your family is not well-to-do. They don't have a family name that they can speak for you and advocate for you to be positioned to find the right opportunities in the society. Number three, if you are not exposed in a certain way that you can get access to certain opportunities and endorsements, you need persistence, because you will consistently be beating against the odds so that you can rise. The law of persistence is critical. For entrepreneurs, it's the same thing. There is no startup that when you start today on Wednesday and tomorrow Thursday, you are succeeding and making huge sales that you break even. It's not possible. There's no startup that when you start acquiring customers easily, making sales in millions and so on. No, many a times for your ideas to fully form, for your business model to fully come around, for your business to fully start acquiring the right number of customers and start being profitable, you need to persistently work on customer acquisition. You need to persistently perfect your products and services. You need to persistently find better ways of serving your customers. You need to persistently test various marketing channels, distribution channels, various strategies. You are going to fail at many, but it is your persistent spirit as an entrepreneur that will make you to finally work out that business model and run a sustainable business. The law of persistence. Your ability, therefore, to persist in the face of setbacks and disappointment is your measure of your belief in yourself and in your ability to succeed. This is more deeper than it sounds. I'll try to break it down. Your ability to persist in the face of disappointment and setbacks is your measure. I'm focusing on the last part of that sentence. Is your measure of your belief in yourself and in your ability to succeed. What does that mean? It means that your ability to scale setbacks. You don't scale setbacks just because you like to scale setbacks. No, you don't overcome disappointment not because people advise you to overcome disappointments. No, you overcome disappointment because of the belief that you have in your own future possibilities, because of the belief you have in your ability to succeed. That is the reason that you scale above setbacks. The only reason why somebody can disappoint you and you still wake up the next morning and you still go out and you consistently hustle, you persistently do your best despite that disappointment is not because you want to show the world that you are a setback overcomer. It's not because you want to show the world that you are good at managing disappointment. No. You rise above your disappointment. You rise above difficulties. You rise above your family background. You rise above the things that people have said that you cannot do for one single reason. You rise above these things because you believe in yourself. That is why you persist. You persist because you believe in thyself. You persist because you believe in your ability to succeed. That is why you rise above the obstacles. I was having an interview with a journalist in Atlanta, in Georgia, when she read my story and she was asking some questions. What kept you going and sponsoring yourself through school? Why did you believe that education was important in your path? I went through school, especially my undergraduate, in the most difficult situations. I remember there were days I would do 3 odd jobs. In the morning, I'll go work at a building construction site. When they're doing that decking, you know, when they're doing decking, they need more young men to give sand, to give cement, and all of that. I'll work there I used to work from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then from 3 p.m. I'll go to the car wash, the washing point, where in that particular washing site, it doesn't know Old Town, there's that place at public security, that water, it's a standing water. It's not standing, it moves anyway. So around Ayaba Street there. And I'll go from 3 p.m. there to about 7 p.m. to do car wash and wash commercial motorbikes. Then there was a cyber cafe where I used to do night shift since I used to assist there. And I was working in that cyber cafe I was not being paid. My payment was that I have free access to the internet to now use the internet to do my assignments and study for my undergraduate program, since I could not be in school like normal students. I was not being paid a monthly salary. Our agreement was that, okay, free access to the internet, and then you work as an assistant in the night at the cyber cafe, right? So that was probably my hustling, apart from other stuff that I could do to hustle. There were days I'll go and set up with that, right? Buy one, take two. And she was asking me, the only reason that I persisted through all of those was my belief I had absolute belief that I could make up something of myself. It was not because I was trying to compete or show that, oh, you know what, I didn't even know what it means. If you told, I didn't even know that some years to come I'll be over the media and all of that. I was not doing for all of that. I was doing for myself. You overcome setbacks and disappointments, not for anybody else, for yourself. Your ability to persist in the midst of setbacks, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of difficulties, in the midst of disappointment, in the midst of hatred, is your measure. The word measure is see how much a young man rises and faces disappointment around me. That is how I measure how much you believe in what you're building, especially entrepreneurs. How much you rise and stand for that business that you're trying to build, despite the setbacks, is your measure to me of how much you believe in yourself as the entrepreneur and how much you believe in that business vision and how much you believe in your ability to succeed. If you quickly give up, you quickly complain, and you quickly just say, this life is hard, this life is difficult, oh, this and that, yeah, oh, you're just complaining. That is, you are not, there's no measure of belief in your ability to succeed. There's no measure of belief in your vision. There's no measure of belief in your own self. Hear this, somebody. Persistence is the iron quality of success. Persistence is the iron quality of success. Your willingness to persist is the greatest asset that you have. And I want to say this specifically. Let me say this very broken, in short, directly, specifically. If you are from a poor family, you're from a poor background, you have no rich uncle, no rich auntie, you have nobody who can help you, you have nothing, like you have no godfather, you are just you and God. If you are sincere that this is you, like some of us, hear this from today. Your willingness to persist is the greatest asset that you can have. Under God's grace, your willingness to persist is the greatest asset that you have. Nothing else. I can categorically tell you that. Other people have assets in form of rich aunties and rich uncles. Others do have it. Some of you, you are what they call first generation royalty. Some of you are first generation and change makers in your family. What does that mean? It means that your mother struggled, your father struggled, your uncle struggled, everybody struggled. Nobody made a name. Nobody made wealth. They struggled for 50, 60 years hand to mouth. You may be the first generation royalty in your family. What does that mean? You are the first person that will handle certain things in your family that nobody has ever done. You'll be the first person to travel multiple countries, first person to be a multi-billionaire, first person to run a business and provide employment to more than one person. You'll be the first person to do many things. Some of you are first generation royalty. And if you don't, and one of the only things that you have, because when you're a first generation royalty, it therefore means that you don't have anybody who can rise for you, who can endorse you, who can recommend you, who can position you where there are opportunities. So only your willingness and your ability to persist becomes your greatest asset to be where your family members have never been, and you start rising so they can also rise. And sometimes persistence can be that one quality that separates you from everyone else. Persistence can be that one quality that separates you from everyone else. And let me tell you something, majority of human beings don't know how to persist. They quickly give up. They quickly succumb to pain and emotions. You see a human being will just give up because somebody shouted at him or her. Like I was talking to one lady, she's in Douala. You have no family member, your aunt is taking care, your aunt is giving you shelter, and just because your aunt shouted at you anyhow, you want to leave the house and go back to the village. Are you stupid? Stay there and get what you want and leave. They're shouting at you, they're disrespecting you, but they're paying your school fees, you want to leave. What nonsense is that? Control your emotions, get what you need from that place and leave. Some of us wish we had that. I remember the time there was the first week I left Kumbu to Bamenda after high school. Because after high school, I went back to Kumbu since I could not continue staying in Bamenda because I could not pay my rent. Since my mom managed to pay my rent and I was trying to do some part. So I went back to Kumbu and since I could not go to university. So the option was to stay back in Kumbu, learn a trade or start some farming. That was like the plan, because it was already certain I could not go to university. But then I looked at that. One evening I told my mom that I'm going back to Bamenda. Where will you stay? Answer no day. So when I came to Bamenda, for the first 7 days or so in Bamenda, I lived in 7 different houses. So when one of my closest friends in high school was John Paul, my very good friend. So when I met John Paul, that time John Paul was living with the sister. And the sister did not know me by then because the sister could not allow me to come live in the house. She was married. They had a family house or so. So, very funny story. Let me share you this story. So, the sister did not trust me. So now John Paul went to the back. He was on Okada, man. He's the guy who taught me how to ride Okada. So I started doing Okada to also raise money. So John Paul we went to the Okada back and he looked at one of his friends. We now spoke to one of the friends and said, I just want my friend to stay with you for a night. We went there, I stayed there for a night. The next morning, we had to leave since we said a night, and the guy didn't want us to stay more than a night too. So the next morning we left the place, and we found another guy again. We begged again, and that's why I stayed for a night, and that's why I stayed for a night. Then I think on the 4th day, there was nobody else to give us where to stay. So we didn't know what we were going to do. So while Jabo was doing Okada, I was around, strolling around, and I was checking out some old friends, old classmates in high school. Then I was passing, I saw this guy who used to sell Okrika. Actually, everybody knows Okrika, second-hand dresses, right? He used to sell Okrika in Kumbo. He now moved from Kumbo to Bamenda and was selling Okrika. As I saw him, I got excited. We were neighbors. He was just living like 3 houses after us in Kumbo, in our house in Kumbo. So I just joined him and we started selling the Okrika, right? We sold Okrika in a food market in Bamenda, behind Commercial Avenue there. We sold the Okrika for a while. It was till about 6:30 and the guy was like, you're not going to the house. You're not going to your house. Like, so, no, I just said 1 or 2 things. I didn't make this thing to be clear. I just said, no, let's just go to your house. At the end of it, I said, okay, we went to his house and we watched a movie, and it got so late. And that was why I spent the night there. The next morning now, that was how I told him the real story. And then I stayed there for a few days and I was assisting them to sell the Okrika and all of that. Then before now, while we're doing that, John Paul was working so hard to raise money so we can rent a house and start our lives together. So, and that was how, like, I think like the 8th day in Bamenda, living in different houses and all of that, John Paul finally got money and rented a house. And I remember, I'll never forget how we started living. We bought a mattress. We bought this plastic carpet on the floor. It was a blue plastic carpet. And then we bought a blue bucket for bathing. And we bought another blue bucket for drinking water. And then the last thing that we bought, we loved music by then. I loved music so much by then. And Lil Wayne was my favorite rapper. There's no Little Wayne. I used to rap almost all his songs. So we could not live without music. So we bought a woofer, a speaker. Those speakers is called woofer, a black speaker. That's how we started our life by then. And that's why John Paul still remains a very important friend in my life. He's still in Bamenda. He's a Bamenda, but he doesn't. We don't see things that I value education. He did not. That's one difference. So until today, he's still doing the Okada. That's a sad thing. But I used to tell him, I remember one time advising him, why doing this thing? Start evening school, because it doesn't have advanced level or levels. I said, start evening school, do these things. He will not listen. He would just like to know Okada boys in Bamenda. Immediate gratification. They'll do the Okada stuff, they'll go to the nightclubs. There are many guys that did Okada in Bamenda today. When you go there, they see Okada. Some are Amber boys now. Some are, I heard the story of last week, 4 are dead because they joined Amber boys and they got killed. And all of this funny stuff. And you see, life is just about decision because we were all in the same environment. So that by the house we are renting, all were Okada men, Okada boys. But you know, the difference now was the vision that we had. I remember sometimes they were staying outside and talking or in the house reading books. That people were resource. This country, nothing help you when you get that when you read that book. They'll say stuff, but I believed in this. I had my vision. I knew where I was going to. Right? So sometimes persistence is very powerful. And I'll say that referring to the lady I was talking to. Many of us sometimes allow emotions to define our decisions. Because I was talking to this lady, you're staying in a house, they're even paying your school fees in a professional school. And the only thing you're angry about is that your aunt disrespects you and talks to you anyhow. What nonsense. What do you have that they should not they should not disrespect you? What do you have? What dignity do you have apart from that you're a human being? That was I asked her. What do you have as dignity? Small shouting, you say that. I don't know some people have lived in more difficult circumstances and they come out of it and they make it in life. Small shouting, want to leave their house and pack and go to your video. Go now. I shouted at her as I double shouted and asked her to go back to the house. I said, go and enjoy the shouting. Your job for now is to enjoy the disrespect, enjoy the shouting, eat the food, enjoy the shelter, enjoy the school fees they're paying, get your HND, get your degree, and then you can make noise. So persist in that difficult situation. Because you've got to believe, number one, you're already at a disadvantage. If your parents could take care of you, you would not be here. If you could take care of yourself, you would not be here. So shut the hell up and go and enjoy the difficult situation and get what you want. You will see somebody who has nothing to show for at a disadvantage and is making mouth, trying to raise pride. When people are proud of his bank account and proud of assets that they have, you are proud of that. Over what? Over your small dignity that you have nothing to show for. Sometimes you lower your ego and your pride and get what you deserve so you can rise to where you have to be. That is why I said your willingness to persist is the greatest asset that you can have, especially if you are from the place of disadvantage. The most important quality you can have going for you is your ability to persist longer than anyone else. Yes, sometimes many of you just need to persist than anyone else. And you will stand out and you will shine and you will win. You have to rise. Persistence is self-discipline in action. Yes. Persistence is self-discipline in action. You discipline yourself, stay in that situation until you get what you want. When you continue to persist in spite of the chaos, when you continue to persist despite the present situations you're going through, you demonstrate to yourself and to the people around you that you have the qualities of self-discipline and the qualities of self-mastery that are absolutely indispensable for the achievement of any great success. That is what happens when you continue to persist. Situations rise, you persist. You go to your business site today, sales don't happen. You go tomorrow and you consistently market. You persist. You're launching a new project, it's not going how you expected. You persist, you keep learning, you keep applying the law of flexibility and agility until you get the right model and you make it work. You have to persist. When you continue to persist, despite all the challenges and difficulties, you demonstrate to yourself first. Get the point, yourself, don't do things in persistence. You're not doing it for any human being. You are doing it for yourself and your future. You are doing it for yourself and your future. Like I was telling you guys, when I was studying in the midst of all these Okada guys, visionless people, guys who are only living on, you work today, you eat burning fish tomorrow, you go to the nightclubs, in Bamenda in those days. Okada men used to feed all the nightclubs in Bamenda. I'm saying so because in the compound we're living, I mean, behind, majority were Okada men. Come on Saturday and Friday, those days in the days of Manjong nightclub, there's this famous nightclubs, all of that. Come on Saturday evening, say they're gonna dress, looking as if these are boys from well-to-do, sponsored, heavy families. They will look so nice. That was their lifestyle. Make money throughout the week, spend it over the weekend in nightclubs. Then my lifestyle was different. Make money over the week, go and advance my school. I was paying my school fees like I was paying granite. Every weekend, I would go and make my HOD and give. Thank God for that man. He will gather. When it makes some sense, he don't go and pay to the bursary. So that was the difference. I demonstrated to myself, not to any other person. So the difference in the persistence is also vision in your persistence. What kind of vision do you have in your most difficult situation? Like this lady, her vision should not be that they should treat her well. Is it her house? Is it her father's house? Her vision should be that, oh, you know what? I am grateful that you're paying my school fees. I am grateful that you're giving me shelter. I am grateful that I can eat good food. I am grateful that I am safe. I am secure. My vision is to get my degree while I live here. So whatever is happening as chaos and circumstances, my responsibility is to persist and demonstrate to myself that I have the qualities of self-discipline, I have the qualities of greatness, I have the qualities of self-mastery, which are absolutely indispensable in my journey when it comes to manifesting my success. And that is why President Churchill believed and proved again and again throughout his lifetime that the bulldog tenacity, for those who know about dogs, a bulldog has this level of tenacity. They can so face you, they can rise against you, and they can stand so firm against you. They call it the bulldog tenacity. In the face of what appeared to be overwhelming defeat, was often the critical quality that turned that defeat into victory. In other words, your tenacity, your persistence, and how you rise in the midst of chaos and difficulties is that quality that you need to turn that defeat into victory. What does that mean? Last month, you were in your business side, sales were not good. You did your best to have good sales, you did not have good sales. Okay, this is February. You know what? You're going to persist. You'll be tenacious. You're not going to give up. Despite the difficulties and setbacks, you will consistently market and promote that business until you start seeing the sales that you deserve. Oh, you know what? You don't have a degree right now. You don't have a master's degree. Okay, that is fine. That may be, you may see that as a defeat. You don't have a job right now. You may feel that you're defeated. No, that is defeat at the moment. But if you start wearing your cap of tenacity, your bulldog tenacity, you start wearing your cap of persistence and driving yourself towards turning that defeat into victory, it will happen. Persistence is a bullet that you can use to convert failure and defeat into victory and celebration. There are some things happening in your life right now. You may feel that you have been defeated. You may feel that life is against you. You may feel that this is not for you. But trust me, maybe just a little persistence, just your willingness to persist a little longer may be what you just need to turn that particular defeat, to turn that particular sad situation into celebration and victory. The willingness to endure without complaint and to hold on tenaciously in the midst of what seems to be a certain defeat and failure is a critical skill of life. Hear that again. Your willingness to endure without complaint. I go back to the lady I was shouting at, who left the house, paid her transport to come and tell me that she wants to leave the house because her aunt doesn't respect her and is disrespecting her, shouting at her carelessly. Meanwhile, this same aunt is paying her school fees, feeding her, giving her shelter, and even clothing her. Who spoiled us young people? So her willingness to endure without complaint in that particular situation and to hold on tenaciously in the midst of what seems to be like a challenge is the critical defining factor for her destiny. Because when you come from a poor family and you don't have knowledge, you don't have certification, you don't have any degree, you are at a disadvantage times two. And many people don't even know this. You have a poor family, sense you don't have, book you cannot read, talk you cannot talk well. You don't have anything that you can say that makes sense. Poverty, yeye family, yeye sense, yeye self, everything is yeye shells around you. How do you want to succeed? You will end up on the streets and then you blame your village people and their innocence. So some of you need to check some of the complaints you have been complaining about. They are not worth it. They are not worth it. So you need to look at yourself and start repenting from those unnecessary complaints. Like I was talking to one lady, one girl again, one time, I was shouting at her. Imagine she was complaining that her father is always waiting, that she should be asking for things from her father. She doesn't like that kind of thing. I said, are you okay? I said, you need to apologize to your father in his absence and in his presence at the same time. Who are you? Oh, I don't like it. My father is always waiting that I should ask for things. Okay, shut the hell up. That not ask. You will die. Or some people, there is some people in relationship. Oh, I don't like to ask for things. Somebody like me, if you don't ask, I'll never remember. So I asked that young lady, do you know how many kids are on your father's? I asked her, how many kids do you think, how many kids are in your family? I think she said 4. You alone, 3 kids, your mother, before other family issues that your father is trying to sort out. Don't you pity that man? You should pity that man. You are a young lady, you have nothing, common degree you don't yet have. You have nothing to show for. You're carrying pride on your head. What do you have to offer? I don't like it. My father always wanted me to ask things. Somebody like me, you will die in poverty and I have money if you don't ask. Because everyone should forget everything and focus on you now because you need something or because you're a daughter. Sometimes asking is not that you're begging. Sometimes it's right. It's my daughter's right to call me and say, Daddy, I need this. It's her right. That's the difference. Even she has that right. If there are no more than 5 people that can call me at midnight or send them anytime or say, Daddy, stop, and I will stop. So she has that right. So there's no need of feeling that they're waiting for me to ask. Some people have lost opportunities, not because they're supposed to lose them, but because of unnecessary ego and pride. You are still trying to balance your life and stand firm. You're bringing pride and ego. Some of you need to drop off those things. That's why somebody said when you're trying to build an incredible life, drop off some ego and pride and focus on building. Because of your willingness to endure without complaint and to hold on tenaciously in the midst of difficulties, that skill alone, that essential life skill, can change the rest of your life. When you back all of your goals and plans with unshakable determination and persistence, you will eventually find that there is nothing in the world that can stop you. Hear that again. When you back all of your goals and plans, when you back all those beautiful dreams in your mind with unshakable, the word unshakable, determination and persistence. I am not talking about the kind of persistence that last week you are persistent, this week you have given up. No, I'm not talking about that kind of one. I'm talking about persistence for 5 years and there's no complaint around your mouth. Persistence in the midst of difficulties and somebody looks at you, they can say, this man, this is what you went through. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about persistent on Monday, lazy on Tuesday, persistent on Thursday, and giving up on Friday. No, that's not persistent. So you are just beeping. You're just trying to beep and understand how persistence works. You're not yet persistent. You're just in the preliminaries of trying to be persistent. You have not yet started being persistent. I'm talking about being persistent throughout 2022 in the midst of difficulties. That's what I'm talking about. When you back all of your goals, plans, and dreams with unshakable persistence, the word unshakable, when something says unshakable, somebody say unshakable God, unchangeable God. You need to have ancient of days persistence. You will eventually find that there is nothing in the world that can stop you. You will become an irresistible force of nature. Ay, ay, ay. I remember when I started saying that if you like, you hate me, there's one thing you cannot do, you cannot ignore me. There is a way that you can persistently show up in the face of people. At the end, they will have no choice than to like you. They will have no choice than to love you. They will have no choice than to succumb under you and say, okay, you know what? This guy, we have been ignoring him, but it seems like he's good at what he's doing. That's what somebody told me when he came to pay for consulting. Nobody very prominent, but got the name you will know. Right? So he came and said, no, I'll be sincere with you. I ignored you. I thought you were just one of these young guys, but you did not, how did I say? You did not, you have not given up. You kept showing up for year after year. It's like you know what you're doing. Right? I was saying somebody's name to Mr. Sama. Let me share the testimony. The name I sent to you, Mr. Sama, is a Cameroonian senior executive in South Africa. He has been in South Africa for 26 years. So he said he has been observing me for 1 year, 6 months. And then I kept on showing up on LinkedIn. That's how we connected on LinkedIn. Like I kept on showing up. Like a very prominent man, very prominent from what he says, of course. Very prominent, seems to be very successful, top player, big dog, big boy kind of stuff. And we're going to have a meeting tomorrow, a Zoom meeting. That's how far he said, but you kept on showing up. That's one thing that made me to say, okay, no, let me talk to this young man. He has something to offer. That's what he said, right? And we started a Zoom meeting, very busy, seems very great man, rich and wealthy and all of that. And that caught my attention, right? Just sometimes you just need to keep showing up. You may show up and nobody's celebrating you. Nobody's noticing you. But your job is to show up. That is your job. Your job is to practice unshakable persistence, show up consistently. You're looking for a job, okay, show up every day and apply for a job. You cannot be looking for a job and you spend 1 month, you have not applied for a job anywhere. Are you serious? In that business, you cannot complain of bad sales when you are not marketing every day. You are not showing up. You need to consistently show up, persistently show up. And someday somebody will say, you know what? This man cannot be ignored. This young lady, no, she cannot be ignored. She knows what she's doing. Sometimes people will trust you and attach credibility to your name based on how consistent and persistent you have been. Oh yes, that's happened to me several times. There are many heavyweight speaking engagements and consulting sessions I've had with top executives and government officials, not because of anything, but because they have consistently seen me around. Because they've consistently seen me on TV. Like, I've seen you here and here. I think let's talk. What do you really do? Some of us, nobody's fighting you. Your idea is not bad. Some of you, you are born to succeed. But what is holding you back is that you have not persistently done the right things for more than 300 days. That's what is holding you back. What's holding you back is that you have not persistently done the right things for 600 days or 1,000 days. That's what is holding you back. You don't have unshakable determination and persistence in what you believe. That may be the only thing separating you from everyone else. And you need to rise for that. When you back all your goals and dreams and plans with unshakable determination and persistence, you will eventually find that there is nothing in this world that can stop you. You will become an irresistible force of nature. Your goals of high achievement will become your realities. Persistence, unshakable persistence, long-term persistence has the ability to turn your goals of high achievement into realities. My charge for you today is Make a list of all of the difficulties and problems and challenges you are facing right now. Make a list. And in what areas you're feeling discouraged and unsure, write the areas in your life where you're feeling discouraged and feeling unsure, or you have challenges, right? And in what areas do you need to persist even more than you are today? Also do another list of, okay, indicate, okay, these are the areas in my life where I need to consistently persist. This is the area in my life where I need to consistently persist for at least 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours for the next 10 years. You need to do that, right? You can do that. So make another list. You need to indicate, okay, you see, anything is permitted to happen, but you see these particular areas of my life, I will consistently persist in this particular area of my life, no matter what I am going through. Make a list of those things. It could be that you're going to persist every day to study and become the best in your field. It could be that you're going to persist every day to create content. It could be that you're going, for entrepreneurs, marketing is one of the things that you have to do every day. Every day. Even if you're already making millions in sales, every day today, I still do my marketing. Marketing is one of the core areas that as an entrepreneur, you have to indicate that every day you have to persistently market. And I'm not talking about status marketing. That's not marketing. Except your status costs 1,000 views and above. We can talk about that's some level of marketing. So your status is no more than 100, 200. Yeah, and that's the only place to post your stuff. And they're posting it where only your friends and family can see. They saw it last week. They're seeing this week. Why did they're going to buy this week? One thing about marketing is that the consistent pushing to get your products for new people to see and know what you do, you increase your chances of getting new leads and new customers. So you need to persistently do marketing, persistently perfect your products and make it look good. Keep reminding yourself that failure is not an option. Giving up is not part of your vocabulary. As I always like to say, everything is permitted to happen to you. I used to tell myself this thing like since 2014. I used to tell myself, Joybert, anything is permitted to happen to you. You are permitted to fail. You are permitted to be backstabbed. You are permitted to go hungry. You are permitted, everything, every bad thing is permitted to happen. But you are not permitted to give up. But there is a way that you are so conscious, you are so determined, you are so persistent, you are so driven, you are so prayerful, you are so committed that even the bad things are not permitted to show up. Because even when they show up, you will rise and hold them to stand still. As I've always said a couple of times with you guys, persistence can kill a witch. Thank you so much, everybody. You can chit chat for the next 10 minutes and we'll round up the session. Questions?